So it is about 9:30 in the morning on a Thursday, and I am in my car, as you can probably see, and that thing behind me there is my house. And I'm about to begin the 5-hour journey to the beautiful New Zealand town of Taupo for the 2024 Taupo Historic Grand Prix. There's going to be some pretty epic cars at this event that I'm really excited to share with you in my usual slightly disorganized and garbled way. Probably do some feature cars, I think. Feature some cars in their own videos. Not sure which ones yet. I'll make that up, I think, when I get there. I'll probably split this into multiple videos. Just too much goodness at this event just to pack into one single video. Weather forecast is looking pretty dicey. Packed both my raincoat and my sunblock, and I think I'm probably going to need both. Anyway, should be a lot of fun, regardless of what the weather does. Catching up with some old friends, talking crap, as you do at these events. So anyway, we will see you there. Cheers. Historic touring cars are running at this event for the first time, I believe, ever, and they have brought with them some pretty cool cars, including this R31 Nissan Skyline, originally built and raced by Fred Gibson Racing in Australia. And Jim Richards actually won the 1990 Australian Touring Car Championship in this very car, which kind of shocked everyone because the Sierra Cosworths were totally dominating. It's being driven this weekend by that bloke there in the racing suit, who just happens to be Jim's son, Stephen. Stephen himself is a pretty talented driver, having won Bathurst about 5 times, so I reckon he probably knows what he's doing. This is one of about 4 Sierra RS500s racing here this weekend, and this is the Slab, as it's affectionately known. This car was ordered from Wolf Racing by Kiwi Mark Petch and painted in this beautiful shade of brown because it was sponsored by Whittaker's Peanut Slab. Whittaker's is a New Zealand confectionery company. And it was driven in period by 1986 Australian Touring Car Champion Robbie Francevic, as well as Gianfranco Brancatelli, Armin Hahne, Greg Murphy and Kane Scott, who is actually driving it this weekend. Another of the Sierra RS500s here. This is DJR6, the last of the Dick Johnson Racing Sierras to come out of Australia. And in the late 1980s, these guys were probably producing the fastest Group A cars on the planet. They won the 1988 and 89 Australian Touring Car Championships, and they won the Bathurst 1000 in 1989. And in 1988, they took one of these cars to Silverstone for the RACTT, which was a round of the European Touring Car Championship. And they put the car on pole, Dick Johnson and John Bauer, ahead of the Eggenberger Sierras and the Andy Rouse Sierras. And they were leading the race until they were taken out by a mechanical issue. But DJR was also responsible for homologating a modified version of the American Ford 9-inch diff to go into the back of these cars, just to cope with all the power that they were producing. Parked alongside here, guys, is a genuine Group 5 Zakspeed Escort, which I'll do a separate feature on soon. This is the last of the Tony Longhurst Racing Sierra RS500s, and team manager Frank Gardner commissioned Kiwi race car designer Jimmy Stone to build this car specifically to win the 1990 Bathurst 1000. Jimmy and his brother Ross went on to enjoy huge success as Stone Brothers Racing in V8 supercars a few years later, but in the late 1980s and early 90s, Jimmy was basically a gun for hire. This car was incredibly fast. As you can see, it's left-hand drive. Most of the Aussie built Sierras were right-hand drive, but with Bathurst being an anti-clockwise circuit, it kind of made sense to have the driver on the inside of the track. And Longhurst blitzed the existing lap record in this car in qualifying, but the race kind of went down the gurgler and the motor blew at about 1/3 distance. This beautiful E30 BMW M3 Sport Evo was built for Peter Sakowski, son of Zakspeed founder Eric Sakowski, and it ran in the DTM, the German Touring Car Championship, in 1991 and 1992. It's gorgeous 1974 Capri RS3100. This is one of 3 Ford of Germany factory race cars built to contest the 1974 European Touring Car Championship. We've featured it on the channel before. That's Gordon Burr just crouching down next to the car. I'll run a link for you guys if you haven't already seen it. This Jaguar XJS is not an original period car, I don't believe. I'm pretty sure it's a replica. This is the famous Vic Lee Motorsport BMW 318 that Tim Harvey drove throughout most of the 1992 British Touring Car Championship. And I'm going to run a separate video on this car just because it's got such an incredible story to tell. This beautiful Ford Mondeo was built by Andy Rouse Engineering in 1995 for Kelvin Burt to drive in the British Touring Car Championship. So this is one of the factory Mondeos. The other car was driven by Kiwi Paul Radisich. And Burt drove this car to victory in one of the heats at Snetterton that year. This Mondeo was originally fitted with a V6 engine, but at some point this was plucked out and replaced with a YB 4-cylinder, which is basically a Sierra Cosworth motor, but with the turbocharger removed. And that's how current owner Conrad Tim, so you can see they're tending to the car, that's how he still runs the car today in Historics. This is one of my favourite cars on the historic touring car grid. This thing just has bags of character. This is the big body Toyota Camry built by Dave Cook Racing for the South African Touring Car Championship. Most of the Toyota 2-litre Super Tourers use the mid-size Corona or Carina body, but these guys opted for the full-scale Camry. This car was driven in period by Julian Bailey, but it was also driven by Rod Millen when it did a stint in the United States. Let me show you the Camry engine bay because this thing is just epic. The motor itself is pushed way up hard against the firewall and sitting down really low, so you've got low centre of gravity and all the weight towards the middle of the car. And you can see why 2-litre Super Touring basically ate itself alive. The money and the technology was just off the chart. Anyway, that's it for part 1, guys. Be sure to tune in for part 2 when I release that. We'll focus on some of the more interesting and colourful cars at this event. So be sure to like and hit the subscribe button while you're there, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers!